Was it an early stoppage?
No.
Are you
Yes
sure?
No. Okay, well, look at this. Like I had certain criteria and certain rules, and when I had someone like Izzy in there, I would try to give them everything that I could. If they started to, as we would talk about, they get into the deep waters and the water's starting to go over their head, I would let Izzy be underwater longer than I would other people, based upon he deserves it. He's proven himself. He's a champ. I want to give him everything that I can, but that doesn't mean that I have to see that last nail in the coffin for me to know he's done. And I look at this fight, and I want to say that there was 15 unanswered blows, and some of them very hard. 15 that touched him that he did not respond in any type of offensive manner. 15 shots from a guy that's a professional fighter like Alex Pereira that's got power and everything. That's a lot of damage, Josh. You know that. There's a whole lot. Could he possibly have taken more? Yes. I'm not going to sit there and say that he couldn't. He possibly could have. But the referee's job in that is to say, can you intelligently defend yourself at this time? And Mark Goddard made the decision that no, at this moment now you are nothing more than a punching bag and a sitting target, and I'm waiting for the one shot to put you face down, ass up. I'm not going to wait for that shot. And he stops the fight. I'm okay with it. I looked at, he was seriously hurt.
Yeah.
So
I think I would have let him take maybe one more.
okay.
That's
Okay. But
I agree.
I want you to compare this, because you had multiples. Let's take a look at, and we're going to talk about it, but let's take a look at Dustin Poirier when he is hurt by Michael Chandler. Okay, you see Poirier, he's using the fence as just the same as Israel is. Israel is using that cage as a balance point because he's having a hard time balancing his body, controlling its movement. Okay, not that he can't do some, but it's his brain is kind of seeing things, but his body's not responding the same way. When Dustin is getting hit by Michael Chandler, where are his hands and where are his eyes? And that's a big part of when you look at how is someone responding to this. If you look at the end and you look at where Izzy's head is and where his eyes are at, they're not on Alex Pereira. They're looking down. They're looking off to the side because he's trying to move. And when you're not able to see the punches coming, bad things happen. And I think that's what Mark Goddard saw.
Yeah, possibly. I look at, man, Mark Goddard. Jeez, that guy. Come on. Really? You got to let that fight. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I feel like a guy who has an opportunity who's been undefeated for however long. I know that he lost to Jan, but he's fought the who's who. He's been in these type of situations where he's been in trouble. Maybe not in MMA, but in kickboxing, all these type of situations. There was still an opportunity there for him to clinch, grab, and we saw throughout the fight that Alex didn't handle those type of situations the greatest. So if he was able to get his hands on him, if he was able to hold him, drag him down, or just clinch him up and take away his striking, I think the fight could end up going the distance and he would end up winning the fight. Could have been a 10-8 round though too, and we'd be saying maybe something else. So there's a lot of what ifs in this scenario, obviously. But I look at, and I think I continue to always look at this, is that how the refs and how the judge or how the refs view these type of fights is his experience, like you said, should outweigh the fact that he's able to go ahead and continue to fight. You should have let him go a little bit further because he has all that experience, because he's been in these situations before, because he's the champ, and the champ deserves a little bit more of an opportunity. I would have let him go a little bit longer. Just me, personally. But
okay, let's look at the other side, though. A good friend of yours who's commentating that night, Dan Cormier, says this thing could have been stopped much earlier. Did he not?
But if that was Dan's fight, he would have never.
Well, I can tell you exactly what Dan says in the back about stopping his fights.
Yeah.
And Dan Cormier is a good example. Look, I let John Jones in the second fight against Dan Cormier. I gave Dan everything I could give him to the point where, last shot he goes out.
Yeah.
And so there are people, Cain Velasquez being one, was mad at me because I let it go that far. And you're going to get both sides. You're going to get both sides, and you're never going to make everybody happy, because even when you do it as good as possible, there's going to be someone that doesn't like it. I look and say, was it a bad stoppage? No, it's not. Could he have let him go farther? Yeah, he could have, but it doesn't mean that anything was going to change. There's a possibility. I'm not telling you there's not. There's always that possibility. But when you have a fighter who is now not looking at their opponent, not seeing where the shots are coming from, that's when bad things usually start to really happen.
Yeah, I can understand that. In terms of the Cain and the DC situation. I mean, look, if you're a mother or a father or a really close friend,
absolutely,
you're gonna get upset. You're gonna get pissed. Why didn't you stop it early? But if you're a fan or if you're the fighter, you're like, what are you doing? I can keep going.
Yep.
So.
Can't make everybody happy.
Yeah, but in that situation though, with the John Jones situation, that was the you allowed the nail in the coffin. This one was we don't know, and that's, I think if you're the champ, you want to know. You always want to know,
and that's part of this whole thing. When you look and you go, when you go to the point that there's no doubt. Okay, Dan against John Jones. Look, there's no doubt. John, he put him out with the last one, and I got him off of him. But there are those people that are going to look and say, yeah, but, you didn't have to let it get to that. One being his training partner in Cain Velasquez. You should have known that he was done before that. Well, this is, in the back, talking with DC, what's the one thing DC is saying? John, don't stop my fight. If I'm going, trust me, I'm going to get myself back. Don't stop my fight.
Yeah,
Daniel, I will let it go as far as I can.
Yeah.
And that's what you're telling him. And yes, in that situation, no one can now say, John, he had a chance. Nope. Okay, that was proven. Yes, they can say it here with Mark that, well, there's a possibility, like you're talking about, he could have gotten a hold of him, any of those things. Yes, I cannot argue with you. There is that possibility. But I totally understand why Mark stopped the fight, and I'm going to say right now, it's not a bad stoppage.
Go to mybookie.ag, use that promo code Wayne and they'll give you additional spending cash with your first initial deposit.
100% agree.